and decided on which note I wanted to connect.
Man, that was a shit video. What the fuck? This video is going to be like a 2.0 on the Snails House video, covering the same sort of genre, but this time discussing Dark Cat, in my opinion, a jazzier Snails House. But let's go over who they are. This is George Not Found. Sorry, Dark Cat. He's from Iceland, not pronouncing that. He started releasing music, I think, on SoundCloud around 2015, but found his major hit with Bubble Tea, a cute song with lots of blips and blops. It also went... So let's have a closer look at some of his songs. All of them have a rhythmic element that's present for most, if not all of the songs. In Bubble Tea, it's this clave/rim hit. Hot Chocolate, it's a tambourine. No Stopping Us, these cute bongos. You get the idea. So for us, let's use this bongo patch from Kontact's default library. To this, we need to add some chords using this nylon guitar patch from Omnisphere. Here's a progression I made. You gotta make sure to have these. The basic idea is you just take it half step down every single time. Contrast to Snails House, he loves to use a lot of orchestral instruments, so I'm going to add in these funky trumpets from the Kontact library, as well as a marimba sound. Okay, the bass is extremely important. It's got to be this funky but smooth, almost 808 sound. Here's why I made this one. Load up your synth of choice, in this case I use Serum, change the wavetable to a sine wave, and enable the sub function. Lower the octave of both of these to -2, set the sustain to 0, and adjust the decay to around 700 milliseconds. For the effects of this sound, add some tube distortion and an equalizer, further dulling those frequencies. With that, you should have something that sounds like this. The next major sound is the slidey arpeggiator. It's the main one that's in Bubble Tea. All I did to make something similar was load up Serum, change the wave table to basic shapes, set the wave position to 5 or until you get this shape, I'm honestly not sure what it's called, enable the mono, legato, and always setting, and turn up the portal to around 90 milliseconds. To this, in the effects I added some hyper, tube distortion, and finally a multi-band compressor, making it sound a little bit more crispy. Throughout the verse, I automated a low-pass filter to slowly open up. To thicken up the sound in the verse, I added a kalimba and finally a vocal. The lyrics in Dark Cat songs usually feature notions about space, love, fucking dick. So I wrote this little verse.
Take me back to outer space, cause it's the place I go on holiday. I don't know what your plan is anyway, but come on, join me here in outer space.
Moving on to the drop, you're going to want 4 main elements: the drums, the chords, the bass, and the vocal chops. Drums are made up of a couple of kick layers, a low frequency and high frequency one, 2 clap layers, a snare layer, hi-hats, and some rides. The chords are super important. You want to make sure that they have a lower flow on them, automating at a 1/8 rate, depending on the BPM of the song, obviously. The sound I used was this mid-distorted sound from Oversample's Portify pack, but it's super simple to make. Just tick both oscillator A and oscillator B, set the unison to 5, head into the effects, enable the compressor, tick the multiband, equalizer, make this shape, delay and reverb, turning the mix on both down to a minimal level. Head back over to the main interface and drag the LFO1 onto the cutoff knob over in the filter section. Enable it on A and B, create this shape, tick off, BPM, and set the rate to 1/8. If you want to introduce more highs, you can tick the noise box too, but just make sure you enable it on the filter so you don't have this the entire time your chords are playing. Onto the bass, I used the same sound from the verse, but made a pattern that followed the bass notes of the chords, making sure they played on every half a beat, making this sort of... The vocal chops were made using the vocals that I recorded. I simply placed them in a not very interesting pattern and added some saturation. Putting them all together, we have this for the drop. But it's feeling a little bit empty, so let's fill out the frequency range a bit more with the slidey arpeggiator from before, the trumpet sound with the trumpet player going fucking bonkers, and a staccato stab from the Kontakt library. Onto the second half of the song, I removed all of the elements besides the bongo, introduced the kalimba as a standalone instrument along with this cute blippy melody. It's just a simple sine wave with a noise overlaid on top of it. In order to add some ambience to the track, I added this foley of some kids playing in a playground. For the song, given it has a lot of space themes, I wanted to go for something fun, and so the story of the song is set in a playground, and it's this idea that kids are making up the story of going to space. I don't know, really fucking random, but it sounds fine. Second half of this verse, I reintroduced the bass again, and then the first section repeats. Going through the song one final time, I added loads of transition effects, impacts, rises, sparkly things to overall make the sound cuter. And that's literally it.